So I would just like to welcome you to this closing session of one-day workshop. So as you're aware, 2016 we had this Rights of Persons with Disability Act, and in UT Ladakh we need to implement all components of the Act. Sir. We have been working on it for the past 2-3 months. If you talk about the progress, sir, as of now we have framed the Rights of Persons with Disabilities rules, and we have put it in the public domain for feedback from all the stakeholders. So one meeting of the apex level committee chaired by the Chief Secretary, advisor to the Honorable Lieutenant Governor. So he had taken a meeting on Accessible Ladakh, which evolved from the Accessible India campaign. And for that some action points have been taken by the districts already. We are going to have some medical camps across the 2 districts in the month of March. So that is basically regarding accessibility. But we need to develop a detailed action plan, sir, for empowering persons with disabilities. And I think the best way to go forward was to have a workshop where all the stakeholders sit together and devise an action plan, sir. So based on that, we have this one-day workshop in which we had departments of health, public works department, urban development, we have school education, sir, higher education also, and social welfare department. Besides transport, we have officers from the transport department as well. So I would like to, sir, acknowledge the participation of 3 national level experts who had been here. So they gave us detailed presentation and also guided the different working groups and have been instrumental in drawing out certain strategies. So we have divided all the participants into 5 working groups, and we have been talking about some 5 specific objectives based upon whatever understanding was of the Act. And once they give the presentation, so you'll get a clear idea about how they plan to go about, because they are devising the action plan, sir, and they would be implementing the action plan. So every group has department and NGOs, sir. We have participation from Pagir, Munsil, LNP, Reva Society, and am I missing one? Pagir, I said. Mahabodhi, yes, sir. So these are the NGOs who have been actively working in the field of disability, sir. So we had their participation on every table. So we can say the action plan that has been devised today, sir, broadly, this would be a brief outline, sir. But that is basically having all the inputs from the concerned stakeholders. So I think that is, without much ado, I would want that all the working groups can give their detailed presentation, sir. And we had invited the administrative secretaries also, sir, because their approval is also required once we take this action plan forward. Thank you.
कंप्यूटर सीखते हुए कॉन्फिडेंस का लेवल काफ़ी बढ़ जाता है जितना जितना नॉलेज गेन करते जाते हैं। और अब ये इक्विटर सॉल्यूशंस के साथ एक कॉल सेंटर में काम कर रहे हैं।
They have to listen to the computer as well as listen to the customer simultaneously and satisfy the customer's file.
जी, a call center he has to listen to it, उनको articulate करना है, computer भी काम करना है, उनको satisfy भी करना है for the customer to buy the product or the services.
There are 20 centers across the country, and about on average 25,000 young adults are trained.
जोरदार तालियां हो जाए हमारे सावर्तनम ट्रस्ट के सेक्रेटरी श्री शिवरामन देशपांडे, हेड ऑपरेशंस from सावर्तनम लिखने का A small token of gratitude from Ladakh to you. A chota sa gift. And Mr. Rajendra K. So he's a mentor with Samarthanam. He is actually working in different capacities with Samarthanam, now volunteered to mentor. Thank you to both of you. And I would also like to call on stage Advocate Subhash Vashisht, Specialist in Accessibility, Universal Design and Stay Inclusive. Advocate सुभाष वशिष्ठ जी ने भी आज के दिन में बहुत सारे सुझाव वैसे दिए, बहुत सारी बातें बताई जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा हमें फ़ायदा होने वाला है. थैंक यू. संयम के साथ साथ हमारे लद्दाख के जितने भी NGOs हैं उन्होंने हमेशा हमारी सोसाइटी में बहुत अच्छा काम किया है. सबसे पहले मैं इनवाइट करना चाहूँगी स्टेज पे महाबोधि से वेनरेबल नागा सिन्हा जी इज द सेक्रेटरी विद MIMC. महाबोधि वर्क्स विद द disability center was established along with old age home in 1995 and Mahabodhi visually impaired school was established in 2006. इनके बाद मैं पागिर के प्रेसिडेंट मिस्टर सेवांदोजे को मंच पर बुलाना चाहूँगी. Pagir is an organization which works for the rights and inclusion of the differently abled people of Ladakh, provides platform to the differently able to contribute positively to society and get economically empowered. Pagir has always voiced for the inclusion of differently abled people in society. I would now like to invite on stage LNP's director. It was Ladakh Nutrition Project. The LNP was established in 1978 among the first NGOs of Ladakh. Started with supplementary program in 1978 and working on child rights, livelihood, water and sanitation, sustainable agriculture, and they're working with only 10 members. Director Mr. Chota Gatsula. I would like to invite on stage Munsil's NGO's member, Dr. Dolmat Siring. Munsil was established in 2008 as a teaching structure for and I would also like to call on stage manager Rewa Society, Tsiring Dojele. Rewa means hope. It was established in the year 2003, works towards physical rehabilitation, inclusive education and accessibility of persons with disabilities. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. And I also invite you to please share your suggestions and views, please.
Julie, a very good evening to all of you. Let me first appreciate and thank all the experts who have come from outside. Your presence has made this entire workshop much more valuable to us. Thank you so much for being here. I would also like to thank all the NGOs who are present here, who have been working for the benefit of persons with disability. Indeed, your work is very much appreciated, and the way we are trying to take the initiative, I am sure you would have a ever-growing role in future. We would look forward to your support for your expansion so that you are able to give much more benefit to the society than what you are giving today. So we look forward to your support, and we really appreciate what you have been doing for the Ladakh society. I must appreciate Madam Padma Almo that this is a subject which had somehow with the new UT not been able to come to the fore, and she has been making efforts, and this has culminated into this workshop. I think this is very important, very valuable work for the Union Territory Administration. Thank you for taking that step and efforts. Ultimately, the welfare of the disabled people is something which is important for the entire society. May I say that a society is really judged by what they do for their disempowered people with the disabled population. Are you a compassionate society? Are you a caring society? Therefore, what I am doing vis-a-vis the disabled, both at the society level, NGO level, government level, this is what is of paramount importance. We know that Ladakhi society is very humane, very proud. In fact, today morning I was in a function where the Science Week was culminating, and among the innovators we had a young boy from Chishot who had developed an innovation which helps in saving water. The boy was so proud, and I was so very happy to meet. And his teacher was there, who was encouraging, helping him. Now, this is what shows what our society, our Ladakhi society, is all about. Now, that caring, that love, has to be converted into actual help to the handicapped person, to the disabled person, or as Honorable Prime Minister said, the Divyang person. This is the thing which all of us collectively have to achieve. Naturally, for a new step, something which has not really been done in the past in Ladakh, it is important that the government firstly takes the lead and tells what is possible, what are the things which need to be done, what can be done. And I'm happy that this workshop has taken place, because all the 5 subgroups today have outlined very specific steps which need to be done. They have given timelines which they wish to achieve, and I would say that that is really the first step, because this is a never-ending journey. This is a thing which one has to do day in, day out, as part of really what administration should be doing. But if I may say that our journey has to start with enumeration, with a census of who are the affected persons, who are these disabled persons who need to be assisted. I would say that while the first step of issuing the identification needs to be completed, and I am happy to hear that March has been fixed as the deadline for that. So it is something which is very positive, it would be good. I find that every group seems to be suggesting a survey. My only request is that I need not go over and over again. Every group is going over and over again. It has to be collated and done just once, so that even the disabled person is not literally harassed by queries and repeated queries. So that is really the first step which we definitely need to take. There are some steps which I would say need to be taken almost immediately also, and I would like to point out at least 2 or 3 things which, regardless of your timelines, regardless of anything, needs to be done as soon as possible, because it is simple and easy to do it. First, I would say, is accessibility, particularly to the government buildings, whether existing or planned. Now, this is something which can be done. It doesn't cost you too much. It can be done quickly enough, and therefore I do not know whether PWD representative or engineering representatives are here, but I would like to say that before this calendar year is out, we should be targeting accessibility to all government buildings. The second part is that accessibility to commercial buildings, for example hotels. Now, this is again something which we can push and get it done, particularly in the towns. Definitely it should be possible to do it, and therefore let us fix that also as a target, that by end of this current calendar year, all such commercial establishments, we should have accessibility. So that's one thing which I would suggest, and I would like the entire administration to target that. The second step, in my opinion, would be the equipments or things which can help overcome the disability, whether it is a hearing aid, whether it is a tricycle, whatever it takes. I think again, once we know the disability, by and large, we would know the support that needs to be given. this is something, again, I would say that maybe by April, May, we may learn about it through a detailed census, and thereafter we should try and go ahead and give whatever aids are required for these people. Third, and I think this is really very, very important, which is training. Training, whether in the education department, whether in the health department, whether in PWD, wherever. I think training is the core. You have to understand their needs, you have to become sensitive to their needs. This is something which, again, I would say that this calendar year we should be targeting, whether it is education of the teachers, which was talked about by the Director of Education, because unless the training and the technical knowledge is there as to what is to be done on a sustained basis. So I was very happy to hear that the Education Department is fixing a target of about 30 teachers to be trained, and I'm sure this can be done, at least initiated, definitely within this current calendar year. We should target that. Another very important area, and now this is not among the timelines, but I think we definitely need to be doing, is whether employment or livelihood, one of the two, needs to be achieved. For employment, naturally, the government recruitment rules have provisions for the recruitment of the Divyang pupil, and this also happens to be the time when we would be making a good number of recruitments at the inception stage of the Union Territory. So it is good that we are doing this exercise now. If UDIDs are available to these people, they can appear in the exams, hopefully they qualify. So this is a good time for the employment to be offered to them, and I think every department needs to be vigilant about this, that employment is provided to the Divyang people. The second part, which is actually equally important, is livelihood generation. One thought that we had tried to implement to some extent, it worked also vis-a-vis Pagir, where during the pandemic time we requested them and they assisted in making masks. They also helped in making a lot of official stationery, file covers and things like this. Now this is an area which I think every department needs to work on, that what are the employment generation activities, livelihood generation activities that we can target. Now this is not something which was covered here in the targets, but I would feel that every department can do this exercise almost straight away. That what are the livelihood opportunities, maybe as an individual or maybe as a group, that we can offer to the Divyang people. I personally feel this is something which is somewhat easily doable. As I said, what about office supplies? We can easily give a long-term order, one year, 2 year orders to a society like Pagir. That would make sure that the livelihood is available to them. There are instances in every department where such a possibility would exist, and therefore I would like to add that here to whatever has been discussed, that let every department be given a target of identifying employment generation and livelihood opportunities. The last thing that I would like to suggest is that while the approaches talk of what government would do or what NGOs can do, we also need to look at the elected representatives. What can the local panchayat do? What can the local councillor do? What should Hill Council be doing? What should Municipal Council be doing? Because as I said earlier, that I treat this entire exercise as a convergence of efforts by all possible stakeholders. The elected representatives are a major stakeholder. The Gram Panchayat may be even the first source of information about a Divyang. And one has to remember that a Divyang is not Divyang necessarily by birth. You can become a Divyang at any time during the course of your life. And therefore, a regular updating of whether it is a child, whether it is an adult who's a Divyang, sheer information better comes through the panchayats. Because whatever is your census today would not be valid maybe 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line. Therefore, how do I keep record of it? That's one, where elected representatives can help. But also, the hill councils make their budget. Whether in their annual plans, there is a component which is targeted specifically at helping the Divyang people. Now that's something which we need to look at. The empathy for Divyang people to make them a productive, useful part of the society has to come from everybody. And this is where I'm just emphasizing that the presentation did not seem to cover any role of the elected bodies or the elected representatives. I think we need to incorporate that in that exercise and find out good productive ways of making use of what help they can provide. I will end here. I will only say that it is a very good beginning which has been made today. All the departments have been brought together, which by itself is a very good thing, because only collective thinking and working across the departments is what is going to help the Divyang people. We have to prove to ourselves, prove to the Divyang people that we would be a loving, caring society. We would be assisting in every possible way for them to become a useful, a very productive part of the society. Those who cannot become a productive part of the society, there are, after all, categories of Divyang who would not become. We have to make sure that they get the love, care, which they richly deserve from the society. Thank you so much. Namaskar.